This is a presentation given at a series of medical devices forums held around New Zealand from March to May 2017. PHARMAC has found the forums a great opportunity to engage with people working in the health sector on its medical devices activity. In today's presentation, we'll give you an overview of our role, how we work, and what we're up to with our devices activity. PHARMAC was established in 1993 and became a Crown entity in 2000 at the same time that DHBs were established. Our statutory objective is on this slide. We always show it as it communicates clearly that our role is to maximise benefits to patients from within limited resources. This is what established PHARMAC in 2000 and what still drives us. Our hospital medical devices work is the most recent aspect of our activity, starting in 2012. The same overarching goal drives us, best health outcomes, but we recognise medical devices are not the same as medicines. We've taken a careful, consultative approach to find out what we need to know and establish our role. Best health outcomes remains the overall focus, with national consistency and new technology investment key aspects of this. Our decisions are informed by consultation and clinical input. We know that a one-size-fits-all approach won't work for hospital medical devices. We recognise that devices are different to pharmaceuticals, and we need to understand and take these differences into account. We've already received a wealth of information from the sector and are building on that from our experience. DHB and clinical staff provide important input into our work. We've established new relationships for this purpose, with groups of clinicians we haven't engaged with before, and technical experts in the hospitals, such as procurement managers, clinical engineers, and clinical product coordinators. These have helped to build our knowledge and understanding of the market and how our decisions might affect you. The scope of our existing relationships with DHB staff, including Chief Operating Officers, CEOs, Chief Financial Officers and Chief Medical Officers, have also changed to include the broader scope of our work. We have formal mechanisms for getting input into our work, including clinical advisory groups and our consultation process, which anyone can participate in. We also have informal approaches, which include meetings with sector stakeholder groups, such as professional colleges and societies. We also work closely with our health sector partners, including Health Alliance and New Zealand Health Partnerships, as agents of DHBs. So, where are we up to? We've been entering into contracts with suppliers since 2014. We now have 40,000 products under contract, covering approximately $103 million of annual DHB expenditure. The majority of this activity has been national contracting. This involves listing products already used in district health boards and providing national pricing and consistency of terms for these products. Under national contracting, DHBs can use the price information across the range of products to decide to change the products if they wish. We've also undertaken a small amount of market share activity, which I'll be talking about further shortly. While we've made good progress, we estimate the full size of the market is about $650 to $700 million, so there is still a fair amount to do to get the total market under PHARMAC contract. The next few slides show where we are up to with devices categories and what's next as we work progressively to expand our work in devices. This slide shows categories that are almost completely covered by PHARMAC contracts. We have work underway in these further categories, and we're aiming to have them under PHARMAC management by the middle of 2017. Last year we consulted on areas we should pursue next. The categories listed in this slide reflect the results of that process. We expect to begin contracting activity this year, with contracts in place for all of these categories in 2018. This slide includes categories we consider in scope of medical devices that remain to be worked through. We will start planning work for these categories soon, and our aim is to have them under PHARMAC management by the end of 2019. Change is not going to happen all at once. We'll be taking a carefully planned and staged approach as we work to bring the full scope into PHARMAC. We'll continue consulting as we go, and you are welcome to contact us with any feedback you have or interest in these areas at any time. I mentioned earlier that most of our activity has been national contracting. Wound care is a case study for how our work can develop. In 2014 we entered national agreements for wound care products, which provided standard terms across DHBs while maintaining choices at DHB level. Over this time we've been building our knowledge and understanding of the market without disrupting DHB activity. Ultimately, we wanted to deliver greater value to DHBs from more competitive activity. Once we had all the contracts in place, we wanted to encourage competition into the market. We wanted to see if we could get a lower price for same quality items by asking suppliers to give us their best price in return for a guaranteed share of the national market for that product. Unlike national contracts, where product choice is optional, market share means restricting which products can be used by DHBs. Because of this, we needed advice on which products were substitutable. We formed a wound care advisory group, which is made up of wound care experts from DHBs, to provide us with this advice. We sought nominations for this group via professional bodies and DHBs. The group reviewed the category and identified possible subcategories for market share procurement. This involved identifying which items are equivalent and broadly interchangeable. The group identified 11 subcategories, which we consulted on. The Wound Care Advisory Group undertook further evaluation of the products and recommended advancing 6 subcategories based on feedback. The other subcategories were not practicable to progress given the feedback, or the cost of change was too great given the value offered. We consulted on provisional contracts for the 6 subcategories and made further changes as a result of feedback, mainly around increasing the transition time for DHBs and the definition of the categories. In November last year, we approved contracts that guaranteed market share for 6 wound care subcategories. While the contracts restrict product choice, there is some purchasing discretion to ensure clinicians are still able to access products appropriate for the clinical needs of their patients. These contracts are now being implemented, and we are working closely with each DHB change manager through their transition. We recognise the input of DHB clinical staff and management, the wider health sector and suppliers as we develop this concept. The move to market share procurement has been an important step for us. The introduction of competition has produced additional savings, an average saving of 20%, which is built on what we achieved in that category. Interventional cardiology is another category where we're looking at building on our work to date, and we've already formed an interventional cardiology advisory group with DHB clinicians. In terms of next steps, I mentioned earlier we will continue with the expansion of our scope across all the categories over the next 2 to 3 years. We're conscious of the potential confusion given the current mix of agencies involved in medical devices, and the DHB procurement strategy also identifies this. We see the move in bringing the full scope of categories into PHARMAC as being an important part in addressing this confusion. We'll continue building our category knowledge, and we'll consider further market share opportunities, ensuring that these are clinically appropriate and implementable. Over time, we'll take a greater interest in new technology, although this is still some time away, and we would engage widely before this becomes a significant role. If you're interested in staying up to date with PHARMAC's progress in medical devices, here are some ways you can do this, or you can go to the PHARMAC website. We're also always happy to respond to questions about our work, so feel free to get in touch.